Good evening, my viewers. Very honored tonight to have Frank Catalina, the mayor of Peekskill, on with me.
George, it's a pleasure to be here again with you.
It's always great to have one of the leaders of Northern Westchester. Frank, you've been in office 6 months as mayor of Peekskill. How have you found it so far, and what do you feel some of your accomplishments are?
Well, it's about what I expected. You know, it's 90% of it is great, and there's always that 10% of that political sniping that we could all do without. But there's going to be a certain degree of that, especially when you're a minority party mayor. But for the most part, it's been about what I expected. A lot of problems, a lot of solutions, and a lot of our ideas are taking hold, and we're very happy with the progress that we've made.
A lot of good is happening in Peekskill, too. I just want to bring up something yesterday. I'm a senior citizen in Peekskill. I was down the Riverfront Green, and we had a lovely senior concert and senior day. Do you want to talk about that, Mr.
Well,
Mayor?
you had the what's called the senior picnic. We've had it every year. Last year, the prior administration, Mayor Foster, in trying to balance the budget on the backs of seniors, did away with it. And you know, I don't think that for the couple of dollars that we spend to take something that the seniors look forward to every year, to take that away, I thought was short-sighted and, you know, kind of mean-spirited, if I can say that. But you know, I'm not here to cast blame and look back. It's not a Republican picnic or a Democratic picnic. It's just the seniors' picnic that we didn't have. But I campaigned and I vowed that I would reinstate it. I vowed that they would have their picnic, even if I had to pay for it out of my own pocket. And I'm just glad that we were able to get staff at City Hall to knuckle under and find the nickels and dimes it takes to give them back their picnic. It's their picnic, not ours. So I believe, as John Kennedy used to say, there's no Republican answer or Democratic answer. There's just the right answer, and you get moving on these things. Look, we've had a lot of problems in the past. I'm not here to cast blame. I'm here to accept responsibility for those problems and to fix them, to leave it better than I found it. And that's what I'm doing.
And yesterday we had a fine local talent singing. He sounds like a lot like Frank Sinatra.
He sure
Doug
does.
Ferroni. And,
Doug Ferroni, Peekskill boy, the whole Ferroni family has just been a staple in our community
Ferroni's
forever.
Deli, right?
Ferroni's Deli, his brother Al, just a tremendous family, backbone of Peekskill, and like many families, they make up the tapestry of what we are.
Peekskill, my kind of town.
My kind of
I
town.
rewrote some of the words and gave it to Mr. Ferroni, and he was nice enough to sing it and give me credit for that. So
Well,
I want to salute
Make sure you
him.
get some of the royalties.
But I don't want royalties. You know that,
Okay.
Mr. Catalina. Development in Peekskill, how is that coming along, and what do you see in the future?
I see great things coming in the future. I spent a lot of time, actually since even before taking office, meeting with people that are interested in moving forward in Peekskill. It started with Lou Lanza when I met him in the fall of last year, when I was running for, actually a year ago, in the spring of last year. He came into town, he had bought one building, he met me. He had bought one building and he had some difficulties with the prior administration, and he was so enthusiastic about supporting me that I had my campaign headquarters in the building that he bought. And when I won, he was so enthusiastic, he's gone out and bought 5 buildings in
Wow.
Peekskill since I became mayor. And you know, I'm not taking credit for it, but if you talk to him as to why he invests in Peekskill, one of the reasons he'll give you is the openness of the administration, my administration, and my willingness to welcome in developers and get things done.
And wasn't he a great restaurateur in Midtown Manhattan, or do I have a mixed
He is.
up?
No, he's
and he's
got
going to open restaurants, right?
He's got an almost
in
35,
Restaurant Row.
40-year history of 3 main restaurants in the city. 2 of them, I think, he's still a partner, and he's got a tremendous background in that field. He has a farm in Garrison where he lives, so a lot of his products are homegrown. He has a stand at the farmer's market, and he has homemade syrups and honey, and his specialty is barbecue sauce, and it absolutely is
And
fantastic.
that's another great thing about Peekskill, the farmers market. I heard you just had a grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony. In case the visitors who listen to me all over the world and watch my show in 40 cities in Westchester that my show go to, when is the farmers market in Peekskill? And
It's every Saturday, and it's doubled in size from last year. And if you go there, the products are just, I went there to cut the ribbon. I didn't plan on spending money, and I think I spent almost $200. And homemade cheeses. At Lanza's stand, fresh fruits, fresh homemade bread, and of course
I've tried pickles there that were delicious. Pickle licorice or whatever you say.
yeah, it's just
and the cheeses.
it's a great event, and people should come down and check it out.
And I hear we have a great thing on Sundays in Peekskill, a flea market, and I hear you may be cutting another ribbon soon.
Well, it's about time to open up the flea market for this year, and I've been invited to cut the ribbon, and I'll do that. It's part of the job.
Sure.
These are things
And
that
it all
occur every
promotes.
year, and we should welcome them back every year. They bring people and foot traffic into Peekskill, especially on a day like Sunday. But one of the main things I've done for the downtown is we ran on a campaign of opening up, making a closed Division Street during the Saturday to Sunday. So we close Division Street every Saturday afternoon, and the restaurants come out and put their tables outside, and it's a little like Soho. It's just a beautiful environment. I came into town on a Sunday night. I'd been away, and it was 9:30 at night, and the street was virtually packed.
I just
on
got
a
a
Sunday
comment
night.
before you came in. This is an aside from my director, Jim Brooks, how much him and his wife enjoy going down there Saturday and Sunday night. And it's a free entertainment, no charge, and you can have restaurant under the stars.
There's there's an old saying that President Reagan used to say. It's not the government that doesn't make things great, it's the people that make things great. And if government would just get out of the way and let the people do their business that they know better, we'd all be better off for it. And that's exactly what we did. We closed the street, let them put the tables out on the street, have a pedestrian walkway, and the restaurants got together and hired the band that provides the music. So it's free to us, the public,
Wow,
but it's not, there's no cost to the city for that.
Wow.
And they pay, each of them pay money every week, and they have a live entertainment for their tables that are outside. And it's just a wonderful thing. They're all doing well. They're doing a lot better than they did last year and the year before with this closed pedestrian mall. And it's just one of those things where I ran on it. It was my idea, my campaign. The council voted in favor of it, and I'm very thankful for them for supporting that, and we got it done. I can tell you about development. I mean, we have, I think, 4 or 5 new restaurants going in on Division Street.
Wow.
So it truly is going to become a restaurant row. But, I criticized Mayor Foster about bringing in a new tenant into an existing building is not development, not the kind of development that I'm talking about. And I'm pleased to hint, because I can't make the announcement yet, but we're talking to major developers who are going to do great things down on Lower South Street, on down at the waterfront, and all over. In Peekskill, we have on Central Avenue, Herman Paritsky. I contacted him in Florida. He's back. He just appeared at the work session this past Monday. That's going to be a $13 million project. It's going to employ 50 to 75 construction workers,
Wow.
and it's going to be home to about 30 units. That's on Central Avenue across the street from Zepp's. Phil Miller came out, dusted out his plan from 12 years ago, wants to do with other partners a $50 million project right on the waterfront, $1 million condos. And we'll bring these proposals forward, and if the council is willing to change Peekskill in a positive way, that I believe they should, then they'll vote in favor of it. And if they are against development, they'll vote against it.
Well, I think
So I think it's it's not a Republican idea or a Democratic idea. It's a good idea to expand our tax base, bring in people that can pay a lot of money in taxes to provide the services for the rest of the community, and to develop the waterfront in a way that it has not been developed over the past
And
couple
it
of
is
years.
such a beautiful waterfront. Me being a retired person, I go down to the riverfront green, and to see sunsets down there and how beautiful it is. And I understand in the future, not only breweries will be down there and other businesses, but creameries may be coming, all kinds of things to go along with our new boardwalk that's being put up in Peekskill.
Yeah, some people think that if you build a park, people will come to it. And to a certain extent, that's true, but they're not going to come from Cortland and Yorktown to go to your park. I believe the way you get real development is to put residential feet on the ground, put residential units down there on the river. And I've been to Tarrytown, I've been to Irvington. People are paying $1 million to be on the river, and we have a beautiful
How
waterfront.
about my old home city of Yonkers? Have you been down to the waterfront there?
I have been.
With Capelli and some
doing a
of the
wonderful-
major, Ratner and some of the major developers. And you know what they did in Ridge Hill? One of the developers is even building a firehouse for the city. And it's not costing the taxpayers any money.
Well, that would have been nice. But, we, talking about our firehouse, we took the old plan that was being advanced by the prior administration, and they've worked on it and studied it and worked on it and studied it again and studied it again and studied it a third time and a fourth time, and they came up with a 36,500 square foot building at a cost of about $18 to $19 million. I ran on a platform that said it's way too expensive for the city in our financial condition. And quite frankly, I think it's too big for the size of our city and our department. We have now come to an agreement with the firemen, with the building committee, and it's been approved by the departments, and we are moving forward to construct a 30,000 square foot building. So from 36,500 square feet down to 30, which is a reduction of almost 20%. And that $18.5 or $19 million cost is now down to $10.3 million.
Sounds like you're fulfilling your campaign promises.
And
in full disclosure, I have to tell my audience that I am a Peekskill resident. I care about my city very much. I don't like them wasting money, and if something is too extravagant, it should be scaled down, and we shouldn't take private property. I don't know how you feel about that, Mr. Mayor, to build a
Well, we can
farm.
take private property if we pay fair compensation and reach an agreement with the owners.
Yes.
But I am absolutely against exercising power under eminent domain.
That's what I mean.
I'm not saying I would never do it, but I'm adverse to it. People that have watched our meetings notice the change in the meetings, where people have the right to speak, and if they come out and they go to work all day and they go home and have dinner and put the kids and get their homework done and then run down to City Hall because they have a concern, I don't think we should. I don't think we should stop them after 2 or 3 minutes because the bell rings.
Right. And you don't stop them.
Well, let
I
them talk.
observed that.
Let them. We're there to hear. That's the only forum that they have to hear.
By the way, one thing politicians forget once they get into office, the voice of the people and who put them there. When 2,000 people tell you they don't want a firehouse as big as that, and the politician don't listen, that's when they get voted out of office.
That's what happened.
1,000 people tell you they don't want a methadone clinic, and you go ahead and pass it, even if your handprint isn't on it. People remember that at election time.
Like I said, those problems are in the past. We're working to correct the problems that we've inherited, and we don't seek to assign blame. We seek to accept responsibility. We were elected to take care of the problems.
And Mr. Catalina, one of the important elements in Peekskill is the artist community.
Absolutely.
There is some concern there that commercialism is coming in, but we're not going to push the artists out. We love the artists, and they do a great job, and they enhance Peekskill. You want to expand on that?
I'll say this once and be very clear about it. Peekskill is an artist community.
It is.
They're a fabric of our community, and they're not going anywhere, and nobody's forcing them to go anywhere.
Right.
But they are a commercial entity. They have to sell their goods. They have to
course,
sell their
to make
goods
a
to make
living.
money. And they're not supported by the city directly financially, but we welcome them here and we welcome their studios, but they are a commercial entity. And, I think we have to expand the downtown zoning ordinance to allow other people to live in the downtown besides artists, because since 1991 or 1992, when that artist district was created, right now today we have 72 certified artist studios. That's great, but it's not a great track record since 1991 or
and as an aside, Mr.
1992.
Mayor, I know you like to put asides in your commentaries and speeches. One of those artists painted a picture of my cat for me, and I presented that to my wife as a Valentine present, and she's still very happy with that gift. And see, if you didn't have an artist in the community, you can't have things like that.
Well, I have
Her
several
name's
pieces.
Inga, by the way.
I have several
Very lovely
pieces.
lady.
Gene DeMatsis did a portrait of my office building when I was on South Street, and that still proudly hangs in my office. I've supported the artist community to the extent that I can, and I always will. I mean, but I believe that we need to expand the downtown so that landlords and building owners have an incentive to renovate those vacant buildings and get feet on the ground to support those restaurants and to support the artists, quite frankly.
And Mr. Mayor, you know I've been very active in the tax area.
Really? You have been?
Keeping taxes down in Peekskill. Yeah. And commercial businesses coming in would expand the tax base and take the burden off of the hard-pressed homeowners. I feel.
Not commercial people that come into vacant buildings, because those buildings are being, I'm talking about new construction, and I'm talking about big things. And one of the things I campaigned on was that I thought Peekskill had available housing stock for young people that can't afford the rents in New York City, and that if we could attract employers. Can you think of the last time Peekskill attracted an employer that employed 20 to 30 people, full-time permanent jobs? You've been here a long time.
25 years.
When was the last time a new business came into town, built a building, operated their business, and had 25, 30 employees?
I can't think of it.
I can't think of one either. In fact, we lost Fleischmann's in the early 70s.
And I see what Yorktown is trying to...
Hold on. I think we got one. We have one. We have an employer. He's in the city now. He's not in the city now. He's come into the city. He's talked to the Planning and Development Department, and we're looking forward to having him make a presentation to the Common Council for a building and permanent employees of 25 to 30 employees, something that will be primarily on weekends and bring in up to 500 people per weekend. It will fill up, and actually we'll probably be building another new hotel just to support that business. So these are exciting times. Those 25 or 30 people that are going to be working there can find affordable housing in Peekskill. And they're going to be young people. They're not going to have children. They're not going to tax our school district. It's just a wonderful time to be open-minded and to bring these people in. I bring them in, even if I don't think the council will support them. Bring them in. Let them say no. Let them explain why they would vote against that. But like I said, I'm not. The council has been pretty good. I mean, we've been getting everything that we've proposed that's reasonable. We've gotten little things and big things. Little things like I ran on opening the dump every Saturday.
Every Saturday. Do we still have to pay the $25 at once, or is it $5 a shot?
I put it up as a resolution to open the dump every week with no fee.
Well, that's good.
The council broke it up.
Oh, okay.
They voted to keep the dump open every week, so I got half a loaf.
Well, that's good.
And they did not vote to waive the fee.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not crying the blues. I'm just saying these are the things that we ran on, and these are the things that we were able to deliver. They're good for Peekskill.
Mr. Mayor, as a citizen of Peekskill, I have a dream. A great man once said he has a dream that I don't have to go to Cortland or Yorktown to shop in a major store. Do you see on the horizon someday in the future that we could attract a Home Depot or a Costco? Yorktown, do you see what they're doing? Their Chamber of Commerce and their town is actively pursuing a major store which will provide hundreds of jobs and thousands of dollars in tax
I
revenue
am actively pursuing just that kind of development. Something that looks like the Cortland Town Center.
Wow.
And these are big ideas that will change the face of Peekskill forever.
What a shot in the arm.
Will change the face of Peekskill forever. Will change the way surrounding communities look at Peekskill. And you'll have people from Briarcliff Manor and Croton coming up to Peekskill to shop. People from Yorktown and Somers coming west to Peekskill to shop. People from Stony Point and Rockland County coming across the bridge to come to Peekskill. No more bad news about Peekskill.
Frank, I'm hearing a lot of good news about that restaurant district that one blocks Division Street there, where the Quiet Man is, 12 Grapes, La Valletta. People are coming from all over and saying what a wonderful place it is to come on a Saturday night or a Sunday night. The out-of-towners I'm talking about.
That's
or to the Paramount.
That's a great block, and the restaurant row was well underway when I took office, but it was the crown jewel of Mayor Foster's campaign. But there's 21 or 22 stores there, and they had about 5 vacancies. That's about a 20% vacancy rate, and that was on her best block. Right now, today, there are no vacancies. The vacancies that are there are under renovation to be occupied. at least 3 new restaurants are coming in. Actually, I think 4 new restaurants are coming in on that block. So it's really taken off. And we don't say, well, we already have a seafood restaurant, we don't want it. I want everything. You want to come in and have another Italian restaurant or another Irish pub, and this one that's under construction now is an English pub. So you have the English on one side of the street and the Irish on the other side of the street. It's all great. It's all good for Peekskill.
And here's something else, another suggestion, Mr. Mayor. Riverfront Green. I see in other towns like Verplank, they have a lot of benches there for people to sit down and enjoy the park. And organizations like the Rotary donate these. And I'm wondering if we could pursue that in Peekskill.
Listen, I'm all in favor of
Lions
that.
Club.
Maybe some less statues at $150,000 a piece, and
Or
more
75.
benches and park picnic benches and tables.
I'm shocked there hasn't been a statue put up for George Pataki, our ex-governor, who made
Those
a
statues are a lot of money,
Oh, okay.
So I think we need less statues and more user-friendly facilities, such as picnic benches,
Right.
barbecue pits, things like that, where people can. Why not put a dock out there and attract 50 boaters on a weekend?
Right.
You
Oh,
know.
I like that little boat that's there right now that does this moonlight, sunlight cruise.
The Evening
and-
Star.
Yes.
Well, it's
I'm thinking of featuring them
it's
on one
great,
of my
but why-
featured TV shows.
It's such a great idea. Why do we limit it to just that boat? Is my point.
Yes.
Why not put a portable dock out there that you can put out seasonally that will attract 40 or 50 boats to come in here
And
and use the restaurants, the Peekskill Brewery, the Yellow Brick Cafe, and I'm sure if you put a dock out there with 50 boats and you fill it up on weekends by boaters going up and down the Hudson River, always stop, and other restaurants will develop down there. You have to create the foot traffic and the demand, and the developers will come.
Mr. Mayor, I also want to ask you about Monday and Wednesday nights at Riverfront Green. Do we still have the entertainment there, or?
We do have the summer concert
That's a
series.
good thing for
I
people
don't
to
have
know.
any of the details.
Yeah,
You'd have to go
but
to the city's website
We do
for
have
that.
them, right? I think it's starting up around now,
Yes.
or it started up in the past week
Yeah.
or two.
It's
Because
started.
I've been to Cold Spring, and how beautiful that is to sit out and hear.
But that's all Cold Spring has.
Right. But
We have big events every weekend. Just about.
right, but we got to bring in a creamery too downtown.
you and the
so
creamery,
people with children come to our thing and make it friendly for families. And one thing we can never do down there, we can't ban dogs from going to Riverfront Green. I've heard on
But we can make
city
people.
council.
We can make people
Yes.
clean up after their.
Or keep them in a spot in the back.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And what a sad event that we don't have a Peekskill celebration on a day anymore. Every town around us has a day that they celebrate just for that town.
These things are virtually impossible to just start up, and
I know.
it's people said, well, you didn't have it
Oh,
last year,
it
just
takes a
bring
lot
it
of
back.
money. It
You
takes a
can't
lot
bring
of
it back.
money.
I mean, the Peekskill celebration was privately funded
Mm-hmm.
and privately run, and they had a woman that worked full-time year-round just on that.
Wow.
The city can't afford that. But we are working very hard on my idea of the 75th anniversary committee.
That's nice.
And they're going to have a major event down at the Riverfront Green, and hopefully we're combining with the Chamber of Commerce because it's their 150th year anniversary. But when both the city and the chamber working together to bring a huge festival to Peekskill next year, 2015,
Sounds great.
that is something that can be renewed, I think, relatively easily for the following year, and then hopefully we'll reconstruct what has been destroyed.
Now, I do a show in Yorktown Legislators Update, where I ask a question or two from the people. And somebody asked me today, are we going to have an Italian festival in Peekskill this
We
year?
are.
We are.
We are.
They seem to think we weren't going to have one.
We're having an Italian festival.
Oh, that's
We have an
great.
Italian mayor, we're having an Italian festival.
Now, you're an Italian mayor. How about in the future having a European festival with German food and Russian food and Czechoslovakian food?
You bring the people that want to sponsor that and run it, you bring them
Really?
in and we'll approve it.
course.
We approve anything that's reasonable, anything that's good for our people, anything that's good for Peekskill, anything that attracts people from surrounding communities to enrich our business community and to feed into the artist community.
Uh-huh.
We're all for that. We're not saying no to anything.
But one thing I think as a taxpayer in Peekskill, if they have, let's say, 100 vendors, they should pay for a lot of the costs, like the DPW cleanup or the extra police that have to be hired. If they charge each vendor $100, and they had 100 vendors, that would pay for that. That's
Well,
just a suggestion.
one of the big costs are police, and the costs are pretty high.
Yes.
But what these sponsors of these events can do is hire private security, probably at a lot
Right,
cheaper rate.
right. So, Mr. Mayor, Peekskill is on the move, from what I
Peekskill is
hear.
on the move, and I just want
We
to
got about 3 minutes left.
want to give a shout out to AIG Insurance Company, and Lisa Brannigan, one of their vice presidents, has been in touch with me and discussed very carefully with insurance and the importance of people being insured properly, their life, their home, their property, and you make sure you have sufficient insurance. We had very terrible cases, clients of mine that suffer a casualty loss or a death in the family, and they don't have proper insurance.
Something you brought that up. I
So
just had a broken water pipe in the basement, would have cost me $5,000,
Yeah.
but because I got homeowners insurance, it's covering.
Right. Well, I'm loaded with insurance, but I'm not. I'm not advertising for any
No,
particular
no,
person.
no.
I just want to thank Lisa Brannigan for her help in explaining to me the importance of me continuing those coverages, and I would urge everyone to be properly insured for the sake of their families.
You don't know this, one of my fields that I worked in was in the insurance and investment
Oh, really?
field in my younger days. And yes, insurance is very important.
It's great.
But we're just about at the end of the show. Is there anything you want to say in closing? A phone number where you can be reached, or a website, or?
My phone number is I'm very accessible. 914-760-1570 is my cell. I'm always available to be reached. Anybody who wants me knows where I'm at. My law office is right downtown. I'm here every day.
Across from the
And
Paramount
if
Theater.
I'm not in my office, I'm in my office at City Hall.
And I hear you're on the phone 24 hours a day, 7
Well, not
days.
24, but
Well, if you're needed during the snowstorm or something like
I
that.
have spent a lot of time with the DPW guys.
I've
and
seen you riding in a DPW truck during the
I
snowstorm.
did. I've been throwing some garbage too, just to get the feel for it.
But with that, this has been my feature that I do called Greet the Leaders. Cablevision has Meet the Leaders, and Mr. Frank Catalina, the mayor of Peekskill, has been. I've been honored to have him tonight, so thanks again,
George,
Frank.
thank you so much for having me here, and thank
It's
your
always
viewers
an
for the
honor.
support.
It's always an honor to have the mayor on of Peekskill.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.